probably also know Traktor, which is a DJ software company, or product, sorry, part of Native. Before we go into the future of music and talk about the big platforms and who has the power and what's going to happen, please talk a little bit about Native Instrument. Like, what is the core of your business?
Sure. First of all, I'm really excited to be back to NOAH London. Native Instruments, yeah, what are we doing? We serve music producers and DJs since over 20 years now with the power of software. Our customers, they go from the tier 1 artists, any possible music genre, Metallica, Madonna, Justin Timberlake, Ed Sheeran, Hans Zimmer, you name them, Dr. Dre, Drake, you know, just to show a little bit of the variety of genres that we're serving and that we're home at. But at the same time, we serve millions of amateurs that create music or DJ with our products. And it's all about our mission of democratizing music creation. This is really why we exist. We want to be able to allow many more people to make music. And if I go back in history, 1996, so 22 years ago, we started out with turning computers into musical instruments. We did amazing synthesizers, which really offered completely new soundscapes, but we also emulated about any instrument you can imagine. Think grand piano, think whole orchestras. We bring it to life via our software out of the computer.
So nobody has to carry these big instruments around anymore. You see on the airplanes, you just need a laptop or an iPhone.
That's absolutely right. And we didn't want to stop just in the studio, but we also wanted to serve the DJ. I got to admit, Berlin company, we have an electronic music background. We're a lot in the club, so we said, okay, we have to change the DJ booth as well, create the world's first professional DJ software, Traktor, you mentioned it earlier. And that was back in 2001, 2004. We realized, wait a second, we have all this amazing software, but how can you really tweak it, you know? Because humans are haptic, especially musicians, they really want to touch things. So we built a bunch of hardware controllers, keyboards, pad controllers, whole DJ consoles to steer the software. So the intelligence is still in the software, but you have some gear to haptically interact.
Tell me, on the music creation side, I think your investor, EMH, who invested, I think, was it last year?
50 million.
Last year, it was a 50 million deal. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Max Kuss, who is founded EMH together with his brother, EMH, he told me some really interesting statistic. He said something like 60% of the music in the charts we see have been created by your products, by Native Instruments.
Let me refine the statement. Up and down. Up, I think, honestly, it's more like 8 out of 10 tracks.
8 out of 10 tracks.
Native Instruments is involved. So it's not all Native Instruments that you hear,
sure,
but there's always something from us in there. If you don't our collection of software instruments and effects, you're probably not a producer.
So I remember a few years ago when we talked about your business, you said, we're going into the cloud. We were talking about Adobe, how managed from a software licensing business, the move into cloud services, and everything became a subscription. And you were also transforming Native Instrument. How did the move into the cloud work out for you? Is it now a subscription business, like TeamViewer, which we had before?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the future of software is software as a service.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. We just did, if you want, our first baby step this year, because right after the hardware that I was just mentioning, we now actually build online services, sounds.com being the most prominent one. And at this point in time, it's a marketplace for loops and samples on a subscription basis. People pay between 10 and 30 bucks a month and get access to over 1 million sound files, copyright-free.
And you own this content, or is it third party?
No, that is an open marketplace for anyone.
And it might be sounds they create on your hardware and then upload.
Absolutely right. A lot of musicians actually contribute also sound packs. And about 10 to 15% is our own content that we created, and all the rest is of third parties.
So you said earlier you want to help like the long tail or the amateur,
basically anyone,
to create good music. How many customers you have, or how many musicians are working with your product?
We have today about 8 million registered users. We have about almost 2 million active users every month. But if you know that on the software side, the ratio of illegal versus legal use is still 1 to 5 to 1 to 10, we have to about 10 million active users per month, but only a fifth of them have paid for what they do.
Oh, wow. So let's talk a bit about numbers. Can you share some financials? I mean, how much revenues you do, roughly?
Yeah, I mean, high level, last year we did roughly 80 million euros in
That's
revenue.
a lot.
It's something. This year we're going to grow in the ballpark of 10%, so moderately, because we have actually been profitable for over a decade, highly profitable. But we started to invest big time in 2017, and then the EMH money wanted to be used.
Yeah.
So we spent quite a bit of that this year. So we're going to see next year, we expect a high two-digit growth number, and also all other years to come. And that is because we're going to fuel sounds.com with not only loops and samples as it is now, but with all the possible software instruments and effects, which we are very much dominating that market. So maybe think Netflix for music creators, with an Adobe element, because we already own a large part of the content that is relevant, the software instruments and effects, and part of the loops and samples that are really there for the music producers and DJs.
So let's talk quickly. So this is a great overview on native. Thank you so much. Let's talk about the music industry. I mean, we all saw the Spotify IPO. We're all witnessing the big fight with the platforms between Apple Music and Spotify.
I follow that very closely.
More and more interested in KKR, bought Pioneer, but that's more the DJ software side. Since you already own the music creator, isn't it logical to also offer to the music creator the distribution of the songs? I mean, SoundCloud for electronic music is the platform, but it's a little chaotic because it's very hard to it's not really structured. Are you trying, or are you thinking to go also into music distribution?
Let me answer your question a little different. I have no doubt that in a few years from now, there are going to be a few players that want to offer the whole music value chain, from creation to consumption, connecting artist and fan. And right now, a lot of these jobs are basically done in two different industries that don't talk much to each other. That's going to change dramatically. And if we just look at what Spotify is doing, I mean, they just announced this Secret Genius campaign. I'm not sure if you're aware, where they now feature the producer behind the music that we all listen to. And they go really after the creative market. They acquired Soundtrap, a music production studio. So they seem to understand where things are going. And obviously, if you want to improve your margin and want to get hold of the creators earlier, you need to talk to us, because we are the first touch point of any creator in this world these days.
So what are the labels all saying about that? Spotify obviously solved the digital problem for the labels to distribute. The piracy there was the biggest issue, and then we went to an all-you-can-eat offer. The labels have a little bit of equity in Spotify. But how are you working with the labels, and do you believe that the labels are a phenomena of the past? I mean, everywhere in digital, you have a direct-to-consumer approach. Do we still need the big music labels?
I think labels will just have a different function. They will perform different services if you want. But quite frankly, this is not my core expertise. I'm still looking at things from the creation side and how they connect to the consumption and distribution side. So I really don't want to speak to Spotify's business or Apple Music's business for that matter, because I'm really glad that we don't have to deal with the pretty screwed up margin structures of the music industry.
You're Switzerland of the music industry.
I mean, we're just in an area where we can work with copyright-free stuff, which is much more exciting from a margin perspective. So we have other problems, but not those of the Spotifys of this world.
Okay, let's go back to native. How global is your business? You are based in Berlin, but I believe you have music creators all over the world.
No, we are literally a global company. We have our largest branch office in Los Angeles since 2002, with by now about 80 people. 400.
Do they think in America you're an American company?
You know what? We try actually to make sure that you get that there is some German engineering involved, because actually Germany has a very good status with the world when it comes to music software, because we're not the only ones. Actually, a lot of great music software is coming out of Germany. Someone that is from Native Instruments 20 years ago started Ableton, which is another important company from Berlin. But you know, we are really global. We have an office in Tokyo, Shenzhen, Paris, London, and so forth. By now, 8 offices around the world. And our customers are everywhere, just that on the southern hemisphere, people are not yet willing to pay for the software. And that can change.
How you take care of that? I mean, there are a lot of, we also have sometimes people who sneak in at the event. It's a bit easier for us, but how do you monitor like privacy usage?
In the end, it's all about price-performance ratio. So it's not like we invest any money in copy protection. That's, you know, you can only lose that battle. So we just make sure that we have offers that are attractive, and I really believe that software as a service, with all the convenience that it comes, will change the game dramatically moving forward. I have no doubt. I mean, I know that the Spotifys and others of this world, they see streaming business in emerging markets. You just have to then select the right price point.
Excellent. Daniel, so glad to hear things are going so well.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Congratulations.
It was a great pleasure.
Also for your deal again.
Thank you.
And hope to see you back in Berlin.